Hello and welcome to my tutorial on Mazas Etude number 3. This is another one of the etudes which I like a lot because it is also a very nice piece. It's not only an etude, it's also a piece which one can perform without piano accompaniment, and it has a lot of interesting bowing things in it, and there's a lot of different things going on, a lot of contrasts, and I like this etude very much. Most of it is centered around the bowing that we have at the beginning. This bowing is something which requires a lot of this finger action because we're coming from above. And what we want is as much resonance as possible. Resonance is the sound which is in the room after the bow has left the string. We want as much as possible of that. So we need to go into the string well and come out and then go back into the string. When you practice this, listen out for the resonance. Listen to the sound which is in the room after the bow has left the string. We want lots of that, and listening out for that sound will automatically make more of it, and you'll be listening to the sound as such and not just to what is happening on the string. A lot of finger action, and when you get to the, we have the opposite. The bow stays on the string. Use the whole bow. We need lots of bow for that. And then we have this again. And now whole bow. So for this part, interesting might be for you my tutorial on Sevcik's variation number 4 from the 40 variations, because that's exactly about this bowing, several up bows, several down bows, and I go into a lot of detail of how to learn this bowing in that. I'll have the link in the description for you. Now for us violinists, it's not all that easy to play something where the bow is more off the string than it is on the string, because we're used to playing with the bow on the string. That also affects the left hand if we have so many notes. So many notes where the bow is continuously leaving the string, one feels a little bit insecure with the left hand as well, because one doesn't have this continuous movement going on. What helped me a lot was to definitely spend a lot of time practicing all the string crossings and double stops. This fourth, it has to be in tune. There we have another fourth. So most of the string crossings happen to be fourths. They have to be perfectly in tune, very important. And the advantage of that is that we have two fingers on the strings. That gives us a lot more stability in hand position than if we have just one finger on the string. And the hand can memorize better where exactly the notes are if we practice them in double stops. This becomes particularly important when we have more difficult intervals to hear, like here. So practice all the string crossings in double stops. That's very helpful for this etude. And make sure that most of the movement of the bow comes from the fingers. Starting bar 15. Now for this, we need the whole bow for that, and then we have an accent on the C. Bow division works out quite well there. Make sure you catch the string for the C, for the accent on the C. Now catch the string. And then when you have a little bit of bow for the down bow for the C, and that takes you back to the frog where you continue. Now we have, so we have two down bows after each other. We do a circular motion with our wrist, hand and fingers. That's this. You can use a comfortable amount of bow for that so that you get into this direction movement, because we have so much which is just happening here at the frog that every time we can use more bow, we should. And now we have several up bows. The up bows are also a circular motion done by wrist, hand and fingers. Make sure to put some vibrato on the double stops, because here too you want as much resonance as possible, as much sound in the room after the bow has left the string. And now we have the same figure again, so we also have the same bow technique again. Here on the E string, I would suggest a comparatively low point of contact so that it sounds nice and soft and a little bit dolce, a bit of a sweet sound. And now up bows again. Vibrato on the double stops and lots of resonance. Starting bar 21, we have the runs. For those runs, it's very important to practice the string crossings and double stops, not just for the left hand, for intonation and secure hand position, but particularly for the bow. Because if you practice the string crossings and double stops, you are forcing your bow to prepare the string crossings by not coming onto the next string from too far away. What we don't want is this. That's what happens when the string crossings come from too far away, when they are not prepared. We get a small accent on each note after the string crossing. We don't want that. And the easiest way to practice that, which benefits the left hand as well, is to practice runs like that with string crossings and double stops, because then the bow moves slowly towards the next string. There's a short point where it's on both strings, and then it goes over to the new string. By practicing the string crossings and double stops, you avoid any kind of string crossing jerks. And you can do that also when you bring that into tempo. So you can practice string crossings and double stops in tempo as well, if you've practiced it slowly before. The bow division works out quite well here. We have the whole bow for the run. Travel back in the air to the frog. Back in the air to the frog. lift, lift. Bar 25 to 28 is the same as what we had before. For that harmonic, I like using the harmonic there. It's marked in the music. I like the idea. You don't absolutely have to. If you do, practice the harmonic catching the string. That gives you a little bit of security for the harmonic, and it brings left and right hand together. Stop the bow, catch the string, and lift the bow after the harmonic, because the one advantage that a harmonic has, just like an open string, is it has more resonance. It sounds longer, so you can travel in the air back to the frog. That sounds better. Now the runs, same as before. This time the runs are going up and not down, but the principle is the same. Practice the string crossings in double stops. Back in the air to the frog. Back in the air to the frog. Lots of vibrato up here. Lift the bow, bring the left hand down and land on the double stop. Here the bowing is the same as in the beginning, just in double stops. Whole bow for that note. Bar 34, the cantilena starts. It's one of his contrasts that he brings, because we have a whole different character now. Something totally new is happening. He marks in the music dolce, that means sweet. So we want a sweet singing cantilena sound. A sweet singing cantilena sound means for the left hand, lots of vibrato, and for the right hand, for the bow, a comparatively low point of contact and a lot of bow speed. To get a lot of bow speed, we need to have a lot of bow, because if we're moving fast, so use the whole bow for the cantilena section. We have an even bow speed, even bow division, which is very helpful. Once again, composed by a bow technique specialist. Very nice. Lots of bow, lots of vibrato. And make sure the small notes are clear. One has to be careful not to play over them. Then you don't hear them. We want, because that becomes expressive. Here I do a Portamento Slide because it's nice and fun and I enjoy doing them. It fits here. And here I slide in the other direction. For that section, I would also recommend practicing in double stops, all the string crossings. Gives you a lot of stability in your left hand and it makes the string crossings a lot more smooth. In bar 42, we have an accent on the F, and this accent is under a slur. A good way to practice it is to practice catching the string for the accent. What you're practicing is adding weight very rapidly. Now, we don't want to catch the string when we're playing it, because then the accent would no longer be under a slur. The slur is important, but what we do is we don't quite catch the string. We're still adding weight rapidly, but not so much that we catch the string. So we have not so much weight, and now add weight rapidly. Also, the bow division, of course, very important. The F needs much more bow than the E, so you have to save the bow for the E, then you add the weight for the F, and cover a lot of distance with the F. That run, also very important practice in double stops, string crossings in double stops. Also, we have quite a high bow speed for that run, because we have to get back all the way to the frog, and we're starting all the way at the tip, so we have to use the whole bow for that run. We have quite a high bow speed. It's a very high bow speed. We need a lot of weight on the string, otherwise we won't catch the notes properly. We won't catch the notes properly. One. And the faster we play it, the higher our bow speed is, and then we need more weight. That's same as the beginning. Make sure you keep your bow on the string for quite a long time for these notes. What we don't want is, because that doesn't sound. We want, as from bar 47, practicing the string crossings in double stops becomes particularly important, because the intervals are hard to hear. This part is not easy for intonation, and the only way one can really get it safe and secure is by practicing the string crossings in double stops. Very difficult to hear, difficult to get secure with the intonation, and make sure when you practice them in double stops to still remember that the bowing is done mostly by the fingers. Just to give you an idea, I practice, in this bit particularly, but in general as well, I practice more with the string crossings and double stops than I practice without doing them in double stops. This bit, 90% of my practicing was in double stops, and only 10% was without. The only way I can get some kind of security and stability into the intonation. As from bar 53, he brings a cantilena again. Also very interesting in this etude that so close to the end of it, he brings a cantilena again. And it's a variation of the cantilena we had before. Before we had... And now he brings a variation of that. I play it all on the D string. I enjoy doing that sort of thing. Spares me practicing string crossings and double stops. That's one thing it does. Of course, it brings me a lot of extra shifts. You don't have to do it. It also sounds very nice if you just stay in first position. That's up to your own choice. It makes no difference. Then it comes an octave higher. In this part where the cantilena comes an octave higher, the most important note in that bit is the B flat, because that's what one doesn't expect. This B flat is the most important note in the whole part of this cantilena. Know that, feel it, and make sure you have a lot of vibrato on it and a good contact to the string. And now we don't have a B flat, we have a B natural. So when we have it down here, I would bring that as a little bit of an echo, because where we're high up, we need a lot of sound, a big full sound, lots of vibrato, comparatively high point of contact, because the strings are quite short when we're that high up. And now piano. And now we're still piano, but we only have two notes to make a crescendo to forte. That has to be forte already. So that part is sort of like a sound explosion. Very nice. One, again, a good example for these extreme contrasts that he brings. When we have so few notes to make a crescendo, bow division becomes important. The B needs less bow than the F, because the F has to be so much louder than the B. And then what follows? Practice catching the string for the up bows. Because that's not so easy to get to sound, because we're supposed to be very loud. We need quite a bit of bow for the 16th notes, but they have to be clear. You can also practice all the 16th notes, martelé, catching the string, very, very healthy, because that brings left and right hand together, and it will make the bow technical aspect of that run very precise. The thing is, we have to play those 16th notes at the tip, because that's where we land. So we need a lot of weight added, pressing down the stick by leaning the hand forward, and practicing that martelé, you're practicing adding the weight. That's very precise. Next step, catch the string for the up bows, only the up bows. And you'll lose the catching of the string automatically when you bring it into tempo, but you'll still be adding the necessary weight on the string. It helps to do big movements for the chords and the double stops because you're coming from above, you're going into the string, and so that you can follow the movement with your arm. What you don't want is, because you won't get a lot of resonance, you've got to pull the sound out of the violin. Lots of fun to play this etude. I liked it as a kid. That was in the times where I still thought etudes have to always sound horrible because most etudes are so boring. And when I started the Mazas etudes, I thought, wow, etudes can actually be fun. And I enjoy teaching them a lot, and I still enjoy playing them. I hope you also enjoy working at this etude. It's excellent for bow technique because it brings so many things which one practices in exercises and things like Sevcik 40 variations. It brings into a musical context, which is what we're practicing it for. And that way, in other pieces, we can recognize the bow technique that we need. And if we've implemented our technique in a musical context already, it's much easier to do that in other pieces. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and subscribe to my channel if you want more of these tutorials, and happy practicing.